An eighth 21 Pilots album has hit the discography, and you know what that means. Today, I'm going to rank all 8 21 Pilots albums from the worst to the best. Remember, it's just my opinion. If you disagree, you're wrong, but let me know in the comments. Keep it civil, or don't. Let's fight. I don't care. Let's just get into this. In 8th place, we have Regional at best. Not a shock to anyone. This is pretty much an album full of demos for Vessel, mixed with some good ideas and good concepts for songs. But you ever see that meme where it's like AJR fans when the lyrics are ass, the vocals are ass, and the production is ass? That's literally what Regional at best is. A lot of lyrics here are pretentious. I feel like a lot of songs that people love, such as Kitchen Sink and Anathema, have lyrics that are like, I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, you'll never know what I'm thinking because I'm more depressed than you'll ever be. And even if that's not what Tyler meant because he was in such a bad headspace at the time, it still comes off that way. And a lot of these songs are just terrible on the ears. I love Clear, but that end breakdown is terrible. I would like Ruby, but that end breakdown is terrible. And of course, you got the Vessel songs that are literally just Vessel demos. I mean, what is Trees Regional at best? Why is it so microwaved? Why is Ode to Sleep and Car Radio both, why are they both sang off key? Why is Tyler trying to sing House of Gold in a bad way? Bad singing does not make the aesthetic good. There are certain songs I like on here, such as Slow Town, Forest, Glowing Eyes isn't bad, and I do like the Guns for Hands demo quite a bit, but there's nothing that I really go back to that often or that I would put above a 7 out of 10. Overall, I'm giving Regional at best a 4 out of 10, sorry guys. In 7th place, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this one. I have Blurryface. You gotta hear me out here. This whole album's aesthetic is, I'm so dark, I'm so edgy, the bad part of me is taking over. And it's arguably more poppy than Scaled and Icy. At least Scaled and Icy is using old songwriting techniques. Blurryface is trying to be modern, trying to be insanely pop. It has lyrics like, yo, this song will never beat on the radio. Meanwhile, it's trying to get onto the radio. I really only have 4 songs, if that I go back to from this album. I like Heavy Dirty Soul. I like Message Man. Stressed Out is cool. It's nostalgic. I like the beat. And The Judge, I feel like it's maybe 3 minutes too long, but it's okay. And I really like the Doubt demo. I feel like the Doubt demo makes much more interesting choices than Doubt. But a lot of the production here is dated. I think Ride and Goner are 2 of the worst examples. For me, Ride feels like the vocals are crushed terribly. The instrumentation feels like it's kind of all placed on top of each other without any finesse. I don't like how high he sings on Ride. I don't think it fits the key of the song. And I just find the hairdryer noise in the background the whole time to be a little annoying. Then you have Goner, which the whole time he's not really saying anything. He's just like, I'm so sad. Help me cause I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I need your help cause I'm sad. Which is kind of like building a parasocial fan base at the time. A little bit. Maybe it wasn't intended that way, but it feels that way. But also, it's very quiet the whole way through. The piano is fine. It's very underproduced. But then you get to the end, and it's produced so badly. Once again, it feels like Ride, where all the instruments are just kind of placed on top of each other without any finesse. And it's like, oh, this album's edgy and dark, so we got to get really loud at the end of the song. And it just feels a little bit immature. Of course, I could point out the bad lyrics, such as just because I play the piano doesn't mean I'm not willing to take you down. I'm sorry. I wasn't raised in the hood, but I know a thing or two about Pain and Darkness. Yo, this song will never be on the radio. Gangsters Don't Cry. Stuff like that. There's a lot of not good lyrics here, but you can pull apart any bad lyrics from a 21 Pilots song that you think is cringe. I think it's mainly the delivery on Blurryface that throws me off and makes me not like it as much because he's got that Blurryface accent or just that kind of edgelord aesthetic. I don't hate Blurryface. I don't dislike it because it's popular. I just think that for an album that's kind of so underdeveloped and a product of its time, I tend to never listen to it or gravitate towards it or really want to listen to any of the songs from it besides Message Man and Heavy Dirty Soul, and even those are a rarity. I give it a 5 out of 10. It's not bad, it's just mediocre. In 6th place, we get to albums I really love. There's no mediocre or bad albums from the band at this point. We have Self-Titled. Of course, Josh isn't here, but that does not matter. This is some of the best lyrical storytelling that Tyler Joseph has ever done. People, of course, point to Trench and Vessel as being their best written, but you can't sleep on Self-Titled. Just because the Christianity and faith themes are so much at the forefront and there's not a lot of nuance to what he's talking about or a lot to be interpreted, it doesn't mean it's written not as well. It just means that he was more comfortable talking about it at the time, or he was struggling with it more at the time. I think all the piano instrumentals are absolutely beautiful. Of course, they're not produced as well as something like Trench or Clancy or Breach, but it doesn't matter. It makes these songs feel more sincere. I will cry to Taxi Cab more than I'll cry to Neon Gravestones, even if I like Neon Gravestones more, and it means more to me personally, and I can relate to it more. Taxi Cab has that sincerity in the voice, in the piano playing, in the lyrics. Everything feels so personal on this album, and I love it so much. Even if there's songs I'm not the biggest fan of, like Johnny Boy or Isle of Flightless Birds, I still have a lot of favorites from this album. I think Fall Away, Trapdoor, Taxi Cab, and Air Catcher are some of their best songs of all time, even if it comes from this very prepubescent era of 21 Pilots. And Self-Titled has grown on me a lot in the last 3 years. So, giving it a 7.5 out of 10. In 5th place, we're going to have an upset. I know, it's Vessel. Yeah, I have Scaled and Icy above Vessel. Just hear me out here. Vessel is iconic. All of the tracks are iconic, even the ones I don't like a lot, like the Run and Go. Everything here is quintessential 21 Pilots. This is their true roots. This, to me, is where it feels like modern day 21 Pilots kind of started. There's so much to chew on here. The lyrics are incredible. The synths, well, they're not produced incredibly well. They still sound fun, and it does the whole sad lyrics, happy vibe thing a lot better than pretty much every other album that tries to do that, in my opinion. It's better than your Blurryface, it's better than your Regional Best, sometimes it's better than your Scaled and Icy. The only reason I have it lower than Scaled and Icy, yes, Scaled and Icy is next at number 4, is because I think there are higher highs on Scaled and Icy and lower lows on Vessel. Vessel, to me, only has 3 true, perfect 10 out of 10 songs. Maybe 4. Those would be Trees, Migraine, Holding On To You, and Ode to Sleep. Of course, they're iconic. They're amazing. You could throw Truce in there, too. It's amazing as well. But a lot of stuff that's holding back Vessel is the vocal performance as well as the production. And you don't need great vocal performance or production to have an amazing album. I just feel like that middle of section of Vessel with Semi-Automatic, Screen, and the Run and Go, maybe throw House of Gold in there too, is worse than the middle section of Scaled and Icy with Formidable, Bounce Man, and Never Take It. And I know that's a hot take. I love Vessel dearly. It means so much to me, but if I'm gonna listen to an album in full, Vessel would not be one of my first choices. Then, if we go to 4th place with Scaled and Icy, there are songs I think are absolutely magnificent here. Redecorate, one of my favorite 21 Pilots songs of all time. If not first place, second place. Choker, I absolutely love. I don't get the hate for Choker. I love that ending rap. It's incredible. I think this kind of harkens back to old style 21 Pilots while fitting that Scaled and Icy vibe. The Outside, incredible. When people talk about how, the first 9 songs of Scaled and Icy don't feel like 21 Pilots, listen to The Outside. It feels so much like 21 Pilots. It is so groovy. It is so fun. It has great changes in it, even if it's a little bit more basic than something like that was on Trench, because people compare Scaled and Icy to Trench since Trench came right before it. You got No Chances, which is just an absolute weird place of their discography and an absolute standout. I mean, what the heck is No Chances when you really think about it? You also got, what's the other one I really love from this album? Mulberry Street, bro. The piano is in the front. It kind of feels like self-titled mixed with more of a poppy vibe. It feels a lot like Benny and the Jets. It's so fun. I could see why maybe you would think it's annoying, but I think it's honestly top 20 songs of theirs. I don't know. Is that a hot take? Probably. But shoot, man, I love Scaled and Icy. I love the aesthetic, even if we're not talking about the lore here, which I think is the best lore album just based on story. You got this rebel who's like the face of the rebels that you now have taken in, and you're trying to get him to bring people into this city with pop music so that these new people who come in can end their own lives so these bishops in power can control them. Pretty dark, pretty freaking sweet. I love the Scaled and Icy storyline so much, but even without that, I love the album cover. Low-key, think it's their best album cover. I know this isn't about the music anymore, but like even songs that people don't really like a lot, I love Saturday so much. I think it's produced immaculately, and if I'm going to listen to a pop song, I'm going to put this on rather than something like Sabrina Carpenter. So, Scaled and Icy doesn't deserve the hate it gets. It's on the same level as Vessel for me, but there's songs I appreciate more from Scaled and Icy versus Vessel, which is why Scaled and Icy is at 4 and Vessel is at 5. Now we're getting to the top 3. These albums pretty much have no skips for me, and I love them dearly. In third place, we have the newest 21 Pilots album, Breach. When I first heard Breach, I noticed there are so many screams, so much dynamic production. Everything that I wanted Clancy to be when it came out is what Breach handed to me. So why do I like it less than Clancy? Is it just recency fatigue from playing these songs so much? Is it being nostalgic for something that happened a year ago? I'm not sure. I think there are 4 songs on Clancy for me that beat pretty much every song on Breach for me. Breach, there is one song that drastically holds the album back. I do not like Days Lie Dormant at all. I've said this before. It sounds like an AJR demo. I don't like the Disney adult type of production on it. I don't like the scream where he goes, yeah, 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 yeah. And I just feel like the vocal performance is lacking a little bit besides when he screams. There's a lot of songs I love from this album. I think Setter Mass is one of their best songs in their discography. I think Cottonwood is one of the best slower ballads from them. I think City Walls is an incredible opener, their second best opener after Overcompensate. I think that One Way is really fun. It feels like the outside of Breach. I love Drag Path, even though it's not on the album. It's my favorite 21 Pilots song of all time. So overall, I think what holds Breach back is just feeling a little bit rushed. Something like Raw Fear feels like it needs to be longer, and it feels like Routines in the Night, but it feels less polished. I love the changes so much. I think there's some absolutely dynamic 21 Pilots essentials here, like The Contract, like Drum Show, which are just standouts in their discography and take their style and just elevate it to an 11 out of 10. But there are some things holding it back, and it's kind of the opposite of Clancy for me, where Clancy disappointed me a lot at first, and then I grew to love it, whereas Breach, I loved it at first, and now as time goes on, I'm kind of like, it's not as good as my first impression. So overall, I love Breach, but not as good as my top 2 albums, which number 2 is Clancy. I absolutely love this album. You have some absolute standouts which are in my top 10 of all time, such as Vignette, incredible song about addiction with trench-style production. Overcompensate, their best opener of all time that genre blends so well and has one of the most insane beat switches in music history. That might be a little far. But then you have Next Semester. Holy crap, this song's song structure is so messed up, and it feels like it's all out of order, but it is so perfect for what the song is trying to say and what the song is about. It's about a panic attack, so of course it's all messed up. I love how at the end of Next Semester, it turns into this ukulele ballad. I love how almost every single song, even Routines in the Night apparently, was written on the ukulele. I think Snap Back is one of the best songs in their entire discography and means so much to me personally. Even the songs where I'm like kind of whatever on like Midwest Indigo are still leagues better than something like Days Lie Dormant or anything from Regional at best. And honestly, like Clancy, such a weird album because it was promoted as this end of the lore big spectacle. That's their most lore heavy album yet. And then it came out and it was all incredibly personal songs to Tyler, with Josh killing it on the drums, with some goofy songs like Lavish, and then some incredible hard-hitting songs like At the Risk of Feeling Dumb, Next Semester, Backslide, stuff like that. This feels like Tyler's most personal project to date. And a guy at work the other day knows I'm into 21 Pilots and asked me the gateway into their music, what album to start with. And I said Clancy, because Clancy has it all. Even though it's not my favorite album of theirs, I think it has the most amount of variety while also feeling like a greatest hits compilation. Clancy feels like every 21 Pilots album kind of rolled into one. And I love the track listing, how you go from Overcompensate to Next Semester, which is such a vibe change. You go from the Craving to Lavish to Navigating, which that's just an insane run right there. And then the ending, Paladin Straight, while it's probably one of my least favorites from the album, I still think it's an incredible closer, an incredible cliffhanger. It adds so much to this Dima story. And I love Clancy. I could rant about it all day, but you guys know what's in first place. It's Trench. Trench was made at a time where Tyler was fighting off whatever addiction, whatever depression, whatever anxiety he was going through at the time, probably the worst in his life, as it seems. During the hiatus, he locked himself in his basement. He meticulously worked on every single song until he thought they were all perfect. This is probably the 21 Pilots album that was worked on the most. I mean, take Clancy, for example. Tyler said he probably worked on the tour stems longer than he worked on the album stems. Trench is so dynamic. There is so much in the background that I'm still figuring out to this day. 7 years later, there is still new stuff that I'm picking up on with this album that I've never heard before in the background. And that just shows you that he was meticulously crafting every single second to make a masterpiece. And while there's songs that I don't think live up to the rest of the album, like The Hype or My Blood, they're still incredible. I think they're 9 out of 10s or even close to S tier 10 out of 10s. And overall, it's a lot of glazing, but I'm just telling you guys why Trench is my favorite. And I think that there will be no 21 Pilots album quite like this, where Tyler and Josh bunkered down and made such a masterpiece, and I respect it so much. I love every song from this album. It has no skips. It has no skips whatsoever. So I love most of these albums besides Blurryface and Regional at best. I love 21 Pilots as a band. You guys leave your ranking down below. Let me know what you think of my ranking. I'm not trying to pit these albums against each other. I'm not trying to tell you guys my opinion is right. I'm just telling you guys what I think. So, for a recap, first place Trench, second place Clancy, third place Breach, fourth place Scaled and Icy, fifth place Vessel, sixth place Self-Titled, seventh place Blurryface, and eighth place Regional at best. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.